Hello and welcome to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi, dated 27th November 2025. Here we have taken up important news and article from the perspective of UPSC examination from The Hindu and Indian Express newspaper. We have segregated our discussion into two parts, that is the analysis and simplified section. In analysis section, the first news is related to revival of NJAC. Now, in a recent development, CJI, that is Mr. Suryakant, has agreed to entertain or consider the petition related to revival of NJAC and ending the collegium system. The second news article, that is death by breath, is related to air pollution in Delhi. Now there are questions related to measurement and mitigation of the air pollution in the national capital. Plus, CJI has also agreed to shift to hearing in a virtual format, citing the raising level of the pollution in the national capital. Both these articles are followed by two mains practice questions, so stay tuned. In the simplified section, the articles are listed below. Here you will get some additional information related to value addition to your answer writing as well as prelims preparation. So the first topic of today's session is based on this news article, which talks about the CJI giving his oral acceptance to consider the plea, which is about revival of NJAC, that is National Judicial Appointment Commission. Now previously in the year 2014, Government of India came up with an amendment act, that is 99th Amendment Act, to bring in the NJAC, to bring the judicial reform in matters of appointment and transfer of High Court and Supreme Court judges. But in the year 2015, Supreme Court struck it down by terming it unconstitutional and void. Now, CJI accepting this, that he'll be entertaining or considering the plea related to this revival of NJAC, this topic again become important because GS paper 2 of your syllabus talks about organization and functioning of the judiciary. So, before moving any further, let us understand what is collegium. So collegium, if you will go by the literal definition, it is group of people who are serving a similar cause or who are working in a similar field. In this particular case, it is judiciary. It is judiciary. So a collegium of judges. Now how this system evolved? There was no parliamentary act which was enacted. There is no constitutional provision which talks about collegium, because if you will see, the appointment and transfer of judges is dealt with Article 124(1) of the Indian Constitution, that is for Supreme Court, and Article 217 for the High Court judges. And both of them talk about that they will be appointed by the President by warrant under his hand and seal, and the consultation as the President may deem necessary for the purpose, and they will be holding office until they attain the age of 65 years. Now, provided that in case of appointment of judges other than Chief Justice, the Chief Justice of India shall always be consulted. And similar thing is related to the appointment of High Court judges. So, until 1993, everything was fine. But it changed. But before that, two important events happened. Till 1973, there was a convention that senior most Supreme Court judge will be appointed as the CJI. Now, in 1973, for the first time, Justice A.N. Ray was appointed as CJI by superseding several senior judges. Then, in 1977, Justice Beg was also appointed by superseding judges. Now, this brought in the debate that executive is making a way or circumventing the convention and appointing the person of their liking. This was alleged. So this issue reached to the Supreme Court in the first judge's case of 1982 to talk about that this last term, that appointment of judge other than Chief Justice of India shall always be consulted. So, okay, there is a mandatory provision that he will be consulted. But what about his consultation? Is it binding or not? So, in 1982, the first judge's case, The Supreme Court held that consultation does not mean concurrence. That means consultation is not binding. But in 1993, Supreme Court overruled this judgment and said that consultation means concurrence, that it is binding. And in 1993, first time the collegium system came in. That is, the consultation will be done by CJI plus a quorum of 2 judges. That is, 3-judge collegium was there. Now, this is, you can say, a judicial interpretation. As I told you that it is not mentioned in constitution, it is not enacted by any parliamentary law. It is judicial interpretation through various judges, famously called 3 judges case. So in 2nd judges case, first time collegium came into the picture. The 3rd judges case, that is 1998. This collegium was expanded to CJI plus 4 senior most judges, plus doctrine of consultation of plurality was envisioned. Here that means that if out of 2 judges, even 2 are rejecting or kind of vetoing the proposal will not move forward, the consultation will not be or the advice will not be given on that particular name. That is what plurality means, that it should be agreed upon by majority of judges. So the collegium system expanded and it has remained so. So at present, if you will look, so for the appointment and appointment of Supreme Court judges, a collegium of CJI plus 4 senior most judges is there, which decide upon the appointment of Supreme Court judges. For High Court, CJI, that is Chief Justice of India, plus 2 senior most judge of Supreme Court form a collegium to decide upon the appointment of High Court judge. If it comes to transfer of High Court judge, again a collegium of CJI plus 4 senior most judge will decide upon the transfer. In this process, matter of High Court, the Governor and Chief Justice of High Court is also consulted. So this is the present condition. But then what is the issue? Issue are manifold. Why NJC came into picture? Why there was a need to bring National Judicial Appointment Commission? Because of several criticism and alleged arguments that were alleging the lack of transparency in these appointments. So the factors that gave impetus, or you can say that become factor behind coming up of NJCs, first was the lack of transparency. So there is no fit criteria, there is no clear-cut criteria, and plus it is all about the selection or the selection or the rejection. The criteria, the reason, the process, the deliberations, it is never open. It is opaque system. So once name is recommended, it is recommended. Though in 2017 onwards, Supreme Court has brought in some transparency by releasing some documents related to the appointment of judges, but still, why the name is rejected or why the name is selected, there is no transparency, there is no explanation available for that part. So that brings us the first problem, that there is no objectivity in the appointment, but it is all about subjectivity. Then judges appointing judges. So this is what we call uncle syndrome. This is what being alleged, that once the judges are appointed, there is no review mechanism. You cannot challenge that appointment. So once they are appointed, they are appointed. There is no way you can review that decision. There is no way you can challenge that decision. So it is again kind of a blockade, done and dusted. No say, nothing at all. Third is these two reasons, that lack of transparency and lack of accountability, it gives way, it provides a space for subjectivity and favoritism. And the outcome of this is elitism. What people allege, that to become a Supreme Court judge, you should have a strong, generational and elite legal background. So there are certain families, these are the allegation that there are certain families from whom lawyers are being appointed as judges back and forth, time and again. There is a certain coterie of, you can say, eminent legal luminaries or the families who have long legal background and are affluent. They are being appointed as judges. Next is the delays. Now, since there is no timeline to decide upon the name, either for the judiciary or for the executive. So what happens that once judiciary somehow will decide that okay, these are the names final, then the government will send it for reconsideration. Okay, out of these 5, 6 or 2 names, consider this one. Then again they will send, then again. So this game goes on, and to an extent that average delay in appointment has raised up to 280 days and more. So once the vacancy is there, it takes 280 days to appoint a new judge, at least from the regular time frame, extra 280 days. So these delays in already burdened judiciary, you can just imagine how it is affecting or impacting the judicial process. And many a times parliamentary committee has highlighted that many of the high courts are working, let's say, less than like 20, there are 25 to 35% vacancies in various high courts just because of this delay and game of consideration and reconsideration. Plus, this delay is not, you can say, very pleasant one. It creates a situation where there is a tussle between executive and judiciary. Consider the case of Mr. Kurian, Justice Kurian. So, what happened? That Supreme Court gave the name, center returned it for reconsideration. So it got delayed for a long duration, plus there was a huge debate about his appointment and his credentials. So before being appointed as a Supreme Court judge, the name is being debated in open about your credential, because nobody knows why your name is being withheld. So these are the factors. To an extent that due to these factors, Justice Verma, who was considered as architect of collegium system, he himself said that it was a mistake, and majorly because of the lack of accountability, because there is no review mechanism at all. So these were the reason. Along with that, this collegium system has failed to bring in diversity and representation in judiciary. Just to consider one fact, till date only 11 women judges have been elevated to the post of Supreme Court judge. There is, at present, there is only one woman judge in the Supreme Court. There are discrepancies and very low representation of the marginal communities like SCs, STs, minorities, OBC. And it is being alleged that most of the judges, either they are from affluent legal or financial background, or they are from upper caste. So this is being alleged also that this collegium system has failed to bring up diversity and representation. Next is no evaluation mechanism. So once you are into service, what is the quality of judgment? What is the disposal rate? There is no objective evaluation of that. It simply goes on mechanical reputation of individual judge. So there is no quality or the disposal rate evaluation. So again, incentivizing the, you can say, the stagnancy. The way you are performing, keep performing. Nobody is going to question you. Then changes in collegium system. Now, if you can recall, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud had a very long term as a Chief Justice of India. Reason is, before him, the 10 CJI, they had an average office tenure of around 1.5 years only. Many of them were not there in office for more than 1 year. So every 1 or 1.5 years, CJI changes. Same is true with other judges, they are retiring. Then there is a problem of continuity. So let's say you 3-4 people are sitting having same kind of thought process, having you have reached to a consensus to appoint certain people as judges. Suddenly out of you 5 people, 3 are retired, new 3 people are coming with a different mindset. Then what will happen? So this affects the continuity in the appointment system. Then comes the institutional support. Why these problems are there? Why we are not vetting the candidates? Why we are not doing the background check? Why we are not scrutinizing the candidates? Because there is no permanent secretariat to help or assist the judges of the Supreme Court. They are already overburdened with the work, and now due to lack of the permanent secretariat, the task becomes even more difficult. Then comes the arbitrary transfer of judges in the case of High Court. Now again, reason will not be provided. You can say a top-down approach will be taken up. CJI plus 4 judges will decide upon which judge has to be transferred to which court. Many a times there are dispute regarding that, and you might have read it in newspaper also that many judges are opposing their transfer because it is being looked upon as or seen as or perceived as punitive action, that you are not happy with me due to some reason, maybe political reason, maybe internal reason, anything, it could be, or professional reason. But these transfers are many a times being seen as punitive action because there is no explanation why you are being transferred. So again, creating an internal rift among the judges themselves. So these are the factors why we needed NJAC. So the government came up with the Constitutional Amendment Act, that is 99th Constitutional Amendment Act in 2014, and it brought a kind of mix of judiciary, executive and expert. So it was a 6-member body, Chief Justice as a chairperson, 2 senior-most judges, then Union Law Minister and 2 eminent persons. So total 6 people. CJI was to be chairperson, and the main function was to do the scrutiny, vetting for the candidates, background checks, then giving the suggestion or suggestion for their appointment and transfer, advice for appointment and transfer, and keeping a track of their performance. These were the main objective of NJAC. But it was struck down on the pretext or on the reason that this will take away the judicial independence of the Supreme Court, and it is going to hinder the process of delivery of or the process of securing of fundamental right of the citizen. So that was the first and foremost reason that was given by the judiciary, that since you are including Union Law Minister, plus you are including 2 eminent persons who are to be selected by panel, which will include PM, CJI and LOP, that is leader of opposition. So basically executive overreach was being perceived, that you are entering into a sphere of judiciary. Then basic structure doctrine, the Supreme Court said that judicial independence is the basic structure of the Constitution, which cannot be altered, and this is clear-cut executive involvement or executive overreach into the domain of judiciary. That's why it had to be struck down. Then another clause was that any of the 2 member out of this 6 member had this NJAC provided that they can have a veto power, that they can veto any decision. So in case let's say these 2 eminent person who were appointed by the government, they oppose the name, so the advice of the CJI and 2 senior-most judges stands null and void. And this was the main conflict point, that 2-member veto will be creating a deadlock. Fine. Then again I have told you the risk of executive overreach, because these 2 eminent persons were being selected by PM plus leader of opposition plus CJI. So 2:1 was the ratio. 2 were from executive while 1 from judiciary. So again an overreach issue. Then the eminent personality, this eminent person definition was not clear. So again ambiguity was there, issues were there, and that is why Supreme Court said that in the name of eminent personality, you are going to appoint anyone or everyone. So this is ambiguous definition, so it should be removed. That's why it was struck down. Now, the way ahead. So in a democratic system, for any appointment, what is required? There are 4 pillars. Any appointment should be fair. It should be inclusive. It should be transparent. It should be independent. And clearly, as the CJI has also agreed that yes, we should look into the petition of revival of NJAC because of certain reason, no matter what will be the outcome. But at least in principle, he agreed to review the matter. That is a welcome step. Because in this democratic system, if you are talking about these 4 pillars, certainly at least 3 of them are not being adhered to or met upon. Fairness is not there, inclusivity is not there, transparency is not there. Yes, the independence has been preserved, should be maintained at all cost, but what about the 3 pillars in the appointment system? So the way forward is a tweaked form of judicial appointment committee. So the criticism was that it was executive overreach. So give a majority judicial representation, plus define the eminent person so that there would be clarity that who could be or who can be appointed as eminent personality, and plus ensure that minimal but accountable executive participation should be there, clear-cut definition of what should be the merit, the diversity should be maintained, integrity, work record and regional representation should be taken care of. Secondly, publish what is the practice in United Kingdom. Publish the short lists, eligibility criteria, reason for selection and rejection. So this should be in public domain and there is no issues because most of the people who have reached to Supreme Court level are in most of the cases they are eminent legal luminaries which are being respected by all. So there is no harm in giving the reason for their selection or rejection if it is not against the national security. Then the delays, that sitting on the recommendation or taking time for recommendation, this should be removed as suggested by Madan Lokur committee. They suggested a 30 to 60 day timeline within which government must process the collegium recommendation. Then ensure social diversity, include women and people from marginal communities like SC, ST, OBCs and minorities, and do promote the first generational lawyers, do elevate them to the seat of judiciary. Lastly, to tackle all this burden, you should provide an independent secretariat so that they can function efficiently and seamlessly. Here is your practice question, one from previous year UPSC question itself, CSE 2017, which talks about critically examine the Supreme Court's judgment on NJAC Act 2014 with reference to appointment of judges of higher judiciary in India. You have to examine the NJAC Act. Okay, so 10 marker question, 150 word, try to attempt it. The practice question is critically examine the shortcoming of collegium system and the constitutional concern that led to invalidation of NJAC. Again, here in the second part, you have to identify the demerits or lacuna in the NJAC. Suggest a viable reform model for judicial appointments in India. This is a 250 word, 15 marker question. Try to attempt it. The next news article is related to the choking pollution in the city of Delhi and NCR. So there are multiple news articles which are related to this particular news. The first was that efficacy of data which we are relying upon. So the mitigation measures that we are taking in the city of Delhi are based on the data which are 7-year-old, not the data but the criteria. So there is appropriation exercise that which source is causing how much pollution. Now that study, the basis of that study is 7-year-old. 2018 studies are being taken as the base of all the mitigation measure. So the percentage of which source is causing how much pollution is based on 2018 data, and that is why the article says, or the title says, Delhi flying blind. Plus, Chief Justice of India has also agreed to take up the hearing in the Supreme Court in a virtual mode because of the rising pollution and the health hazard it can create. How it is important from your examination perspective, GS paper 3, environmental pollution and degradation. So in this discussion we are going to cover the air pollution. Now what is air pollution? Simple, any contamination to your air is air pollution. It could be gaseous, it could be liquid contamination, it could be solid contamination, which we generally call as PM, that is particulate matter. The basic two categories are PM 2.5 and PM 10. So before moving, what is the severity and what is the impact of air pollution? So to take certain reports, there is, if you will search it on internet, there are variabilities of data. But one thing is clear, that problem is severe. So the global burden of disease says that in 2020, 1.67 million deaths were caused in India due to air pollution. In 2023, the same report says out of all the death, 15% of death in Delhi were due to air pollution. Now, simultaneously, the World Bank says that 5.39 million people died prematurely from exposure to air pollution globally. Plus, it says that out of all the death, 8.2% in India was caused due to air pollution, which was more than the HIV plus tuberculosis plus malaria. So out of all the death, 8.2% was caused due to air pollution. Next, 39 out of 50 most polluted cities are located in India, plus Delhi remains the most polluted capital globally. IQ Air says that India ranked in 2024 data, it says that India ranked 5th most polluted country. Plus, World Bank says that air pollution cost India around 8.5% of its GDP in 2022. And you will see how this number is growing, because the estimates of 2018 says that India is losing around 5.4% of GDP. In 4-year time, the estimate says that it is losing 8.5% of GDP. Point is, India is bearing the economic cost of pollution also. So, how it is impacting different aspect? First is the health, the direct impact which you and we can visualize. First is, and it is not just about Delhi, it is about entire India. Apart from the coastal region where sea breeze, they act as a moderator, and hilly areas where still the forest and the topography creates a situation where you can breathe clean air. Otherwise, the northern Gangetic plain, and if you will talk about the plateau region, most of the region are falling under poor and very poor category only. Some of them are in moderate category, but most of them are poor and very poor category. So the health hazard include asthma, the pulmonary disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, bronchitis, cardiovascular disease, stroke, heart attacks, all these things. Now, a study of air quality life index says that it can reduce your life by 5 to 9 years. The air pollution, the level of exposure that we are gaining. Then comes the economic loss, as we have seen that 8.5% World Bank calculates in 2022. Why this there is an economic cost? Simple thing, if you are having these diseases, where you are going to spend money? For the cure itself, the simple answer. So it will increase the health expenditure. Plus, if the working population is facing so many health issues, what would be the, you can say, efficacy or efficiency of this workforce? It is going to decline, certainly. Then With pollution, there is disruption in tourism and outdoor economic activity. So most of the time you will try to remain home, and those tourists who want to go to these plain areas, not hilly or coastal area, they will refrain from doing so. So you are losing out on the economic activity plus tourism also. Let's leave the foreigners. Nobody will be interested to into coming to a gas chamber for sure. Then comes the environmental impact. So we say that it is impact of environment. Yes, but this pollution is also impacting the environment. So kind of increasing or aggravating the problem which is already there. So soil contamination will increase, water acidification, rainwater, acid rain will be there because of the emission of these gases, greenhouse gases. Then when your soil is degrading, definitely your crop yield will reduce. Finally, if this greenhouse gas keeps on going unabated, certainly it is going to contribute to the global warming and climate change, kind of creating a vicious cycle in which one is feeding other, and this process, this cycle goes on. Now, we have segregated this discussion into two parts because in general, what are the causes of air pollution and what are the specific causes that every time whenever it is about the pollution, Delhi comes to the news. So what are the specific causes related to Delhi? So the first cause is vehicular emission. So NOx, nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, PM 2.5, PM 10, and India, if you will consider the metro cities, there are more than 1 crore cars are officially registered which are plying on roads. Not only cars, all kind of vehicle, and this vehicular emission becomes one of the major contributor towards the pollution. Then comes the industrial pollution. So sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, all these gases are being you can say these are byproduct of the industrial process and certainly contributing these gases into the environment. Then in rural areas and tier 2 cities is still the prevalence of wood fired food, using coal, using kerosene oil, use of cow dung cake. It is still prevalent. So most of the time it is outdoor cooking, but even if it is indoor cooking, it is going to contribute to the outdoor pollution. Next is the construction and demolition activity. So we generally think that how much construction and demolition activity can contribute. This is one of the major contributor of the solid dust pollens. If you will take up the construction and demolition activity at the level of city, mega cities like Delhi, Mumbai or Bangalore, Chennai. So the level of construction and demolition which is going on is contributing huge amount of PM 2.5 and PM 10 into the atmosphere. Then comes the very famous, very known, the agriculture stubble burning. To prepare a field for, like, you have reaped the rice cultivation and now you are going to sow the wheat cycle of the cultivation. So for preparing the land, you have lesser time and many a times you have lesser resources. I will take that how in subsequent discussion I will tell you how one solution led to another problem. So basically you have to prepare your land for the wheat crop, and in order those farmers who have lack of resources, lack of time and lack of technology, they prefer agricultural burning, that is stubble burning. Now there are natural factors like you know that during the winter months the monsoon wind they withdraw from India and there is prevalence of northwesterly wind, offshore northwesterly wind. These winds, they generally come from the Gulf region of the western side. They bring sand and dust particle with them. And why to blame Gulf? There are wind systems which also come from the Rajasthan and the desert region of the western Rajasthan, which also brings in the dust particle and pollutants to the Ganga belt, northern Ganga plains. Now, understand this more elaborately with reasons specific to Delhi. First is the geographic location, which we generally say bowl shape. What is bowl? So this is a bowl. This is a bowl. This is location of Delhi. How? In north there is Himalaya. In southwestern side there is Aravalli. In southern side there are plateau, Bundelkhand, Baghelkhand and Malwa plateau. So Delhi is covered from all the side. Let's say the only opening is northwest and the southeast towards Ganga plain. These are the two openings. So winds are coming from here, but since as we are saying this is Ganga plain, so there is no you can say angle or you can say slope is not there, wind speed is slow. So this creates a bowl like topography. Blocked north Himalayan mountain, southern plateau region, southwest Aravalli. So it creates a bowl like structure in center. And that is why the pollution increases or amplifies in the Delhi. Second is reduced wind speed. As I have told you, monsoonal wind have withdrawn. Now there is prevalence of northwesterly wind which is coming from, you can say, Afghanistan and Pakistan region. Now this wind is very feeble. The speed is very low. So it is, even if speed is high, then also you will not have this problem because this all dust and pollution will go to the along the Ganga plain. But this wind is very feeble. Third reason is dip in temperature. So it coincides with the winter season. So you might have heard about the temperature inversion. So generally what happens, once you will go up, altitude will increase, the temperature, the normal lapse rate. So the temperature of air parcel will keep on decreasing if you will go up 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. But what happens in inversion, that this land, due to this long cold night, it becomes very cold. The temperature goes down. So air in the vicinity of this land becomes colder when compared to air just above that because of the cold ground surface. And this upper air hot temperature or higher temperature, it acts as a lid of a cooker. So basically the pollutant which are spread here, this lid obstructs their mixing. So these pollutant remain at the lower levels of the atmosphere because there is a lid due to temperature inversion. Then the same reason, the vehicular emission, if you will consider Delhi itself, around 1.5 crore registered vehicles are there. Then I told you the crop burning in Punjab and Haryana. Now in 2009, you know that Punjab and Haryana region, these are the region where it is not climatically suitable to grow paddy, rice, because the monsoonal rainfall is not that adequate in northwestern region of India, but they are growing paddy. So where the water is coming from? From the groundwater. So in now to address this resource depletion of groundwater, Punjab government brought an act in 2009, an act to preserve the subsoil water. What it did, it shifted the sowing period. So by law, it mandated that you can do the sowing of paddy crop, that is rice crop, only in the month of June, so that coinciding with monsoon, so that if it coincide with monsoon, you are going to use lesser amount of groundwater. But since you have shifted the sowing period, the reaping period will also be shifted. Now this reaping period coincides with the sowing period of wheat. It has shifted to October end and November. and it only gives a 10 to 15 day time to prepare your field for the wheat crop. And in this hurry to sow the wheat crop, farmer, what they choose? The easiest option, to burn the crop. So to save groundwater, you brought a law, and the problem of stubble burning continued or started. Then comes the dust from construction, which I have already told you. Then problem specific to Delhi is the landfill, the disposal of the waste. It is unscientific, it is unhygienic, and it is again creating problem for Delhi. So it is not just about the displeasure that you will feel while looking at it, but also the problem of frequent fire in these open landfills. And even if not the fire, the release of methane and other toxic gases are also contributing to the climate change and warming. Then the developmental strategy. Now most of the big cities, they are developing in a manner that it is more of a concrete jungle, and changing the landscape, the trees, the greenery, you will often see that it is not there. So again, creating a heat dome effect, and again the temperature, if it is rising, it is disturbing the natural flow, or natural, you can say, the seasonal change and all those things. It is altering the pattern, and definitely it is contributing towards the pollution. Moving further, Government of India has brought in several measures like Clean Air Program, National Ambient Air Quality Standards, Commission for Air Quality Management, Graded Response in Delhi, the famous scheme to promote electric vehicle to remove the vehicular emission, Bharat Stage 6 norms again to remove or contain vehicular emission, Ujjwala Yojana to provide LPG gas cylinder to rural women and household women, so that they should be dissuaded from, they can be dissuaded from using the wood fire and other fossil fuels. Then air quality index for monitoring, smoke towers are being installed to mitigate, and there are schemes related to crop residue mechanism. Further, it has also color coded, so frequent information about the level of pollution is also being disseminated. Now, as we know, many initiatives have been taken. We know the reason, but still we are unable to curtail or contain this problem. And one of the reason, as I have told you, there were many articles. One of the reason is faulty equipment, and how the reporting itself is flawed. So in this article, basically, they are talking about the methodology, which is the beta attenuation method. So what happens, you will pass beta ray through filters. So there are filters which are absorbing pollutants, and through this filter you are crossing the beta ray. Now this absorption of beta ray is what we call the beta attenuation. So more the mass, more will be the absorption. This absorption is calculated, and based on this it is defined, it is being demonstrated or being told to other people that this much is the pollution. Now what is the problem? The first problem is you require a 16-hour, at least daily 16-hour of compilation of data. Now due to power cut, due to technical shutdowns, due to faulty equipment, many a time CAG has highlighted that these recordings are not being done properly. So definitely these data will be impacted. Secondly, the moisture also affect, because if these pollutants will absorb moisture, obviously the mass will increase and the absorption will increase. So definitely it is going to raise the value, again incorrect value. Another issue is the calibration of the equipment. So many a times equipment, they get displaced, or their readings get displaced or get incorrect. So regular calibration is not being done. So again incorrect reading. Lastly, the placement. So if you will put it close to building or vegetation or vents, definitely it is going to impact the reading. So this article was about how this measurement process is itself flawed, and many a times, because CAG has also reported that the data or the reporting that you are doing is not correct. Moving further, before having a look at the way forward, let us have a look at the case study again featured in today's newspaper Indian Express. So in this case study, it talks about a village in the Moga district of Punjab, where the panchayat level initiatives have stopped the stubble burning. So what they have done, they have started a direct benefit scheme by pooling the money from their own resources and donation from NRI, and they give rupees 500 per acre to farmers who don't burn stubble. Secondly, they have created a pool of machineries like happy seeders, rotavators, mulchers, plows, and they provide it free of cost to the farmers to help them sowing the seed of the wheat crop. And since 2018 onwards, this village has never witnessed any stubble burning, and this has become a role model for the entire nation to be followed. Now, what is the way forward? A simple first thing, that you need to regulate the vehicular emission by increasing the strengthening the public transport, electrification, etc. Secondly, you need to curb the agricultural burning. You can learn from this Moga village, which is named as Ran Singh Kala. To pool equipment, to pool resources, to incentivize those who are not going for the stubble burning. Plus, you need to provide clean fuels, and you need to promote clean fuels for the industry so that the emission of carbon dioxide, sulfur oxides can be curtailed or minimized. Then, most importantly, the dust management should be done through effective urban planning. So, road sweeping, dust suppression, covering of construction site, which should be mandatory, because in certain areas you will find that construction site is covered with green cloth and sheets, asbestos sheets and all those things, but in most of the area it is not present. So again, you need to make it mandatory, and you need to make it compulsory, and also robust review mechanism should be there to check whether somebody is following the rules properly or not. Then again, the same thing which we were talking about, the monitoring, and very, very importantly, you need to bring in behavioral change. So every now and then the lethargic attitude towards the environment should not continue. Behavioral change toward using non-fossil fuel resources, refraining from burning waste, and the firecrackers which may create pollution. All these things, one should refrain from doing these things. And long term, you need to reduce your dependence on the fossil fuel. You need to decentralize the waste management to local level, and you need to bring in technologies so that these can be converted into useful forms. Plus, city level clean air action plan should also be there apart from the national level clean air programs. Based on this, try to attempt these two previous year UPSC prelims question. One was about excess of which of the above is in the environment is cause of acid rain. So out of these four options, you have to identify. The second question talks about in the cities of our country, which among the following atmospheric gases are normally considered in calculating the value of air quality index, that is AQI. A question came in 2006. Let us know your answers in the comment box. For the mains practice, this question, that air pollution remains one of the India's most persistent environmental challenges. Discuss the major causes and impacts. Also suggest some measures to control it. 250 word, 15 marker question. Try to attempt it. Moving on to the simplified section, the first topic is related to the Higher Education Commission of India, that is HECI bill, which government is planning to bring in the winter session. This is important from your GS paper 2 perspective, that government intervention in different sector plus education. Now, according to this news, at present, there are three different regulatory authority for higher education in India. First is UGC, second is AICTE for technical education, and NCTE for the teachers education. So these three regulatory authorities, because NEP has also highlighted the same problem, that these three different regulatory authorities are creating a complex system and creating confusion. So there should be one overarching regulatory body. In line with that suggestion of NEP, government is trying to bring one authority, that is Higher Education Commission of India, that is HECI. So there would be one authority under which there would be four vertical bodies, namely National Higher Education Regulatory Council to regulate all fields except medical and legal education. National Accreditation Council for accrediting the rating given to the institution, A plus, B plus, this kind of. General Education Council, which will frame learning and academic standard, and Higher Education Grants Council, which handles funding. Okay, so this is what they are intending to do, but many sources have said that right now the funding remains with Ministry of HRD, so government is going to continue to maintain some control over the funding also. Each of these verticals under one agency will have independent body, plus HECI will have a small group of eminent public spirited experts. Again, eminent and public spirited, vague term, what we have seen in the Judicial NJAC Act, eminent and spirited. So open to again debate. So this is what being done, this is what being planned. From our concern, our perspective, what is the issues with the current system, that is multiple agencies are there. First issue is they are mechanical in their approach and very rigid in their approach. So once an institution wants to, let's say an institution in a state, because education is a concurrent subject. Let's imagine an institution in any state of India. Now they want to open a new course. Now they have to apply to the UGC for the, you can say, permission and inspection. And first they have to comply to various norms, plus they have to wait for the inspection. So this delayed process, this confusion creates a system where they are being seen as more rigid in their approach, not in sync with the demand of today. So the next is these three institutions, UGC, AICT and NCT. Now they have overlapping powers also. Now just as you have thought about an institution applying and waiting for clearance and inspection and all those compliance, just think about a college which wants to start an engineering branch. Now they have to apply to UGC for academics and all those things, the regulatory things, plus AICTE for technical clearance. What should be the student people ratio? What should be the lab? So now the compliance increases. So two agencies, different agencies with their regulations, overlapping regulations. Now this institute. So just imagine yourself. If you want to evolve and develop, you want certain kind of autonomy or certain kind of speed, efficiency in the process. Because of these delays and overlapping structure, what happens? This innovation, this zeal of innovation and starting new subjects and courses, it goes down. Then comes the delays, which we were talking about, the red tape and the autonomy to the institution, because for every other course, every other recruitment, you need to get a permission from three different agencies. Then conflicting mandate. Now this was the previous examples we gave were about the opening a new course. Let's imagine you want to hire a new teacher in your technical college. Now UGC, AICT because it is technical institution, and NCT because you are going to hire a professor. Three compliance: conflicting, overlapping, plus confusing. Then 2018 bill came up with some solutions, but it was rejected thoroughly and could not be applied. What it did, it replaced UGC but not AICTE and NCTE. Secondly, funding went with MHRD. Then it had chairperson, vice chairperson and 12 members, all were to be appointed by center. Plus one advisory council was also created, chaired by HRD minister plus the minister of respective states. So these were the changes, but problem was, including the parliamentary committee and some neutral observers, what they raised the problem is that this is over centralization. This is over centralized, center heavy structure. Still you have multiple regulators, like UGC was gone, but AICTE and NCT were there. So again, you are just removing one thing, so multiple regulators are there. Then state representation was not there, and so was the representation for disadvantaged group like women, SC, ST. Plus, Parliamentary Committee also said that you need to simplify the regulatory ecosystem, the rules and regulations. You should not be rigid in your approach in order to streamline the process. And these were the objection due to which this bill was not finalized. But now again government is bringing this overarching body. Let's see what are the provisions, what it brings to the table, and then we will take it into detail. The next topic is based on this forest survey. Now recently Supreme Court had asked the government to tell a definition for what constitute Aravalli Hills. So government came up a definition of 100 meter. So anything which is 100 meter, any landform that is 100 meter above, not from sea level but from the local landscape. So any landform which is 100 meter above from local landform will be considered as Aravalli Hills. Anything below this will not be considered, or the mining will not be prohibited there. Now this article is about that if you will go by this definition, only 8% or 9% of the Aravalli is above 100 meter, which is rendering 90% of Aravalli open to the exploitation and mining activities. Again important from GS paper 3 environmental conservation perspective. So what this article says, I have told you that more than 90% of Aravalli Hills will not be counted as Aravalli anymore because of the new definition. Now what they say, that government has itself backtracked what it has submitted last year. So they say that last year the Forest Survey of India, it gave a 3-degree slope. So anything which has a slope of 3 degree or more was being considered as part of Aravalli Hill by the Forest Survey of India. Now what government did last year, that Supreme Court again asked the government to come up with a uniform definition. So government said that we need to reform this slope. So slope would be 4.57 degree. And anything above 30 meter will be considered as Aravalli Hills. Okay, so anything above 30 meter and slope of 4.57 degree. This is what government submitted, expert committee submitted last year. Going by this definition, 40% of Aravalli, more than 40% of Aravalli would have been preserved. But this year when the definition was asked, government, what did they say? 100 meter criteria. 100-meter criteria along with this slope criteria. Now FSI report says that you are raising this criteria by saying that if we will keep a slope of 3 degree, 12 out of 34 Aravalli districts, the states through which Aravalli passes, 12 out of 34 districts will be eliminated from the list, because if you will keep the slope of 3 degree. So more steep slope should be considered as Aravalli. Now experts say that since most of these districts lie in the plains, so if you will calculate the average slope, it is bound to come below 3 degree. So experts say that quoting the FSI report, experts say that government has hidden some facts from the Supreme Court. They have deliberately ignored some fact just to press upon their definition. Second thing they tell, that 100 meter, as I told you, that this definition is not from sea level. What they say, that hills will be measured over and above the immediate surrounding. So take this example. Let's say this landform is 100 meter above the sea level. Above this is Aravalli Hill, which is 50 meter above this landscape. So all in all, when you calculate the height of any mountain range, what you have been doing since your studies have started, it should be 150 meter from the mean sea level. But going by this definition, this is only 50 meter. So effectively a hill was 150 meter, but going by this definition, the hill is just 50 meter, because now you are calculating from the surrounding. And that is why 90% of Aravalli Hill will not be considered as Aravalli Hill due to this definition. Another important thing, many major landforms and cities have been eliminated. For example, Chittorgarh, the famous UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Chittorgarh Fort, is built on Aravalli ranges. Now that is eliminated from the list. Now that is not being considered as part of Aravalli Hills. Similar with that, famous tiger reserve, that is Ranthambore, which is lying in the lap of Aravalli, is also not part of Aravalli because of this new elevation and slope definition. So that was related to this news. What is important from you is the Aravalli Hills, one of the oldest fold mountains, and if you will see its expanse, so starting from Delhi Ridge till the Gujarat, it has this southwest orientation in the western part of the country. Highest peak is Guru Shikhar, and major river are basically the two tributaries of Yamuna are Banas and Sahibi, and one very important river, that is Luni, which is draining into the run of Kutch. Plus economically it is very significant because the ranges are rich in copper, zinc, lead and marble. So these are the important points from the perspective of prelims. Let us move on to the next article, which is related to the cabinet approval of around 7,000 crore for a scheme for rare earth magnet. So important from perspective of science and technology, GS paper 3 and GS paper 2, government interventions. So cabinet has approved this scheme to manufacture rare earth permanent magnet. Now what is it? It is high performance magnet with strong magnetic properties and high coercivity. What is coercivity? That magnetism will be very tough, like you cannot demagnetize these magnets easily, even under high heat and pressures. So you cannot demagnetize, so you can use them in various critical part where heat, pressure, everything is very high. So you cannot demagnetize the property. It is very durable and very strong. That is why it is suitable for electronic vehicles, wind turbine, electronics, robotics, defense system and aerospace. and that is why this one of its kind, the first of its kind scheme has been hailed by the automotive companies. And the scheme name is Scheme to Promote Manufacturing of Sintered Rare Earth Permanent Magnet. Financial outlay, 7,280 crore, and aims at creating a 6,000 MTPA integrated manufacturing capacity, that is metric ton per annum, and to ensure a secure, resilient domestic supply chain and creating the Atmanirbharta. This would be an end-to-end support system by the government, where manufacturing units will be provided an end-to-end support from rare earth oxides will be turned into metals, will be turned into alloys, and which will be turned into finished REPMs. So 7 years is the duration, and 2 year will be the gestation period for creating the facility, and 5-year incentive disbursement where you will start the production and business. Basically, the EV motors, as you have seen, will support clean mobility, renewable energy goals, and definitely going to reduce the dependence on the oil imports, and will contribute towards the energy security of India. Now, the next news article is related to this news, that is Supreme Court panel suggested creation of a Goa Tiger Reserve in phases. Now, earlier High Court has suggested, the government of Goa, Bombay High Court suggested government of Goa to create a tiger reserve within a period of 3 months, to which Goa government submitted that more than 1 lakh people will be displaced and will be impacted. So it would not be wise to go ahead and declaring a reserve into a tiger reserve within 3 months. Important from environment perspective of your paper. The news article highlights that Supreme Court appointed, so Goa government approached Supreme Court against this High Court judgment, and Supreme Court appointed a committee which submitted its report and said that you should be declaring the parts of Madei Wildlife Sanctuary, Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary, Netravalli Wildlife Sanctuary, and Kotigao Wildlife Sanctuary, which are located from north to south and contiguous to the Kali Tiger Reserve of the state of Karnataka as a tiger reserve, and you should be doing it in a phased manner. Apart from that, it also highlights that earlier Goa government said that more than 1 lakh people will be displaced. Now Goa government says that 5 to 6,000 individual will be impacted. Plus, Goa government also said that it has no permanent tiger population, which is also a debatable argument made by the government, because the trap photographs and all evidences suggest that there are some permanent population of tigers in Goa also. So here is important information related to following wildlife sanctuaries. Madei, again in Goa, as the name suggests, Madei River, which is a tributary of Mandovi. Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary, again in Goa, famous Dudhsagar River and Dudhsagar Fall is there. This national park is part of this the contiguous zone, the Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary in Mahavir National Park. The Netravalli Wildlife Sanctuary, Netravalli River, which is tributary of river Zuari. Kotigao Wildlife Sanctuary, the southernmost and contiguous to the Kali Tiger Reserve, which earlier was known as Dandeli Anshi Tiger Reserve of Karnataka, which has established permanent tiger population. It is contiguous to that, mainly drained by the Kali rivers. And the species more or less similar, the leopard, gaur, and panthers and pangolin, all these animals and fauna is common to these wildlife sanctuaries. Now, the last news article for today's session is related to the Constitution Day, which was celebrated on 26th of November. GS Paper 2, Indian Constitution, and we are going to look into the basics related to the Constitution Day. Now, what is Constitution Day? Being celebrated on 26th of November because Constituent Assembly adopted the Constitution on this day back in 1949. But Constitution came into force on 26 January, which we celebrate as a Republic Day. So, adoption on November 1949. Came into force or implementation in 1950, 26th of January. Now, in 2015, this date coincide with the 125th birth anniversary of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constitution. So, to mark this moment, Government of India, before 2015 Constitution Day was not celebrated. Before 2016, it was National Law Day. So, from 2015 onwards, to mark the 125th birth anniversary of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, this Government of India declared it as a Constitution Day. And the main focus to promote the constitutional values related to rights and duties of the citizen, and to spread awareness about the rule of law. So that's all for today's session. Stay tuned for more such update. Thank you.